Hello campers, Dr. Dickey here. That's a neighborhood joke name, so just get over it. I'm going to speak today to 2000, I always want to say 19, I'm still stuck in 1900s. The 2007 Buick Lucerne owners. There's two different kinds of 2007 Buick Lucerne owners. Those that have had a trunk leak and repaired it, and those that are going to have a trunk leak sometime in the near future. And the reason for that is what Buick did. I had a trunk leak. I put a ham radio antenna on the back of my car. And this is a car I got from my father in about 2014 when he quit driving. And I had it and there was no trunk leaks. And then about 9 months ago, I put a ham radio antenna on the trunk that goes over the lip of the trunk lead, not one of the ones that you drill through. And about 3 or 4 months later, I opened the trunk to do something. Most people don't open the trunk that often. I had things that I stored in there, so a lot of times I opened it fairly often. And it was soaking wet. So soaking wet that when I pulled stuff out, the wheel well that holds the spare tire was completely filled with water up to the brim. Now it's with the tire down there displacing a lot of the water, but it was completely filled with water. And I thought, of course, what? That must have been the antenna. So I looked at the antenna, I saw the channels around the trunk lid, and I cleaned those out because there was some dirt in there. And I thought, well, maybe that's acting partially as a dam and it's building up and it's somehow getting over the trunk lip. Wasn't the case. But I repositioned the antenna, I checked everything, dried everything out in the trunk, took a hose and ran it down that driver's side. It was on the driver's side. And I ran it down that driver's side and there was no leaks. So I thought, okay, I've corrected it. No big deal. Got everything dried out, put everything back in, go along. Then a couple of weeks ago, I opened the trunk to do something else and it was wet again. It wasn't as bad as it was before, but it was wet again. And I thought, oh my gosh, is it really this antenna? I can't believe that it's doing this. So I took the antenna off and put it into the trunk. Took everything out of the trunk and dried it all off. Let it completely go. And then it happened that late that afternoon, it rained. Now it only rained for about 10 or 15 minutes, but it rained pretty hard for 10 or 15 minutes. So I said, okay, well, I'll find out tomorrow whether or not the trunk's still leaking. Sure enough, popped the trunk in the morning. There was water down in the wheel well. There was no spare tire in it then. I had taken everything out. But there was water down the wheel well. And I was like, what is going on here? I've checked the seal around the trunk lid and I can't find any problems. So I went on the internet and sure enough, boom, got hits. 2007 Buick Lucerne. What is the leaks? Well, at the back of the trunk, underneath the trim, and where you can't see it from inside of the trunk either, Buick put two holes. They're about the size of a quarter. And normally when you have something that goes from inside of the car to outside of the car, you have a rubber grommet that goes in there. And the grommet is bigger than the hole on both sides with a slot down the center that's about the size of the hole. So when you push it through, it pops up bigger than the hole on either side and the two pieces of rubber seal it up. Then wires can go through or whatever. Buick didn't do that. I don't know what the holes were there for. I suspect they were there for some option that I didn't have or my dad didn't get on the car. And you would thought they would have come up with a good grommet to put in there to seal them. Oh no, oh no. They put a little patch on it, and I'll show you in the video when I go out there to the car to show you how to fix this. They put a little patch in there that was like made of, it wasn't duct tape, but essentially like duct tape. Now, when you put duct tape outside, any of you that have done this, and it sits out in the heat for a period of time, what happens? Hey, you're smarter than a Buick engineer. The adhesive gives out. The adhesive dries out and it gives out and eventually it comes off. Exactly the same thing happened here. The little patches that they put over top of these holes, eventually the adhesive goes out and the patch moves off and then water can penetrate in. It's hard to see where it's coming from because when you open the trunk, you'll see, again in the video coming up, when you open the trunk, there's a piece of plastic that covers the whole trunk that's right there where you stand inside of the trunk. But if you take that off, you'll see a channel that's inside the trunk, and underneath, sort of next to the taillights, underneath the taillights, on the inside, there's two holes about the size of a dime. I drilled them out to about the size of a quarter, partially to fix this problem. And if you look in there, you'll see the hole with the little piece of tape that's covering it on the outside. Access is from underneath the car. So I'll go and let you see what the Buick engineers thought was the solution to this problem. Okay, there's the Buick 2007 Lucerne. It was my father's car. He quit driving at 93, and you can see why it has scrapes on all four corners, and the doors are all scraped up. That's why he finally quit driving. Fortunately, he finally quit driving. So I've already taken out the spare tire and all the jack and everything goes with it, and the lining that goes down there. You're going to have to do that to dry everything else out. To be able to get to where the leak is, you're going to have to take this piece off, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So there is these pop things that go in here, and you can see where they go in. All they do is pop right out, and then there's on each side there's two of these knobs. They really just kind of push on, but they screw off easier than pulling them off. You undo those, and this just, like I said, with this pop thing, they just pop right out. And if we go over to this side, the sun's kind of in the way here, but you can kind of see, I think. We got the same thing. Two more of these to undo. The pop is gone over on this side. I had it pop out and lost it. I'll have to just get another one. You can get them at automotive stores. They're pretty easy. And this just pulls out of here. And you can set that aside. So, where is the actual leak coming from? Okay, well, the leak is actually coming from inside of this hole. On the other side of that hole, I know it's hard for you to see, but on the other side of that hole, I drilled that hole out. Normally that hole's about the size of a dime. I made it about the size of a quarter. On the other side of it, there's another hole that goes to the outside that's about the size of a quarter. And that's where the leak comes from. It comes in, it gets into this channel along here, and you can actually see the leak trace to it right there where it came out from that channel and went down into the well, coming out from this channel along here that is connected to the trunk. And you have the same thing on this side. You have another hole. Again, I've drilled it out, and you can see the dum-dum inside there. It's not really dum-dum, but it's like dum-dum that I have plugging that hole up that's inside there, and where it leaks. This side was the driver's side. It did not leak. The seal held. I'll show you what those seals are. This is what GM thought was appropriate. This is the seal from the driver's side. You can see it's intact. It's like a piece of duct tape. There's nothing to it. And you can see that the adhesive was ready to go, but it was at least still held on there. This is from the passenger side, and you can see that it failed. And this is the side it was leaking on the passenger side. I'll try to show you how to get access to that area. You have to go underneath the car, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but we'll give it a shot. So I'll try, and we'll see what we can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So if we go kind of right to where the exhaust is, and then we look up from the exhaust. Let me get a flashlight. Okay, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but you can see the mound of that black goo I put over top of the hole right there. This is right above the exhaust pipe, and that's the back of the trunk lid, the back of the trunk right there, what you're seeing. So I don't know if you can see where I put that goo. I can't put my hand, I can't get the camera up in there, and can't get my hand up in there. Well, I can, you can get your hand up in there, but I can't get it up. But hopefully you can see that mound of goo. That's where it is. That's where both those patches are on either side. You just reach up, you can feel around, you can feel them. The only way to get access would be to pull like the bumper off, and I didn't want to have to do that. You don't have to do it. Okay, so amazing, isn't it, that they thought that that was going to do it. But what I used, I said and mentioned inside there, this is for ham radios. This is what I used. It comes in a reel like this, and you can pull it off and It's very gummy and sticky and gooey, and you can make balls out of it. And I had this on some antennas in my backyard down here in Florida in the heat and in the sun and everything else for about 8 years. And it did not harden up. It was still malleable. It was still very sticky. It was still very sealing. So underneath the trunk, behind the bumper like that, shielded, even down here in the Florida heat, I'm confident that that's going to last for at least 20 years, and I don't know if I'll last that long. And I put a ball of it covering on the outside and then a ball of it covering on the inside and pushed them together so that they hold each other and seal that hole off. The other alternative, probably better way to do it, would be to take a bolt with big washers and then big rubber washers on the inside, one on the inside, one on the outside, screw them together so the rubber is squished around those. That's why I drilled them out, so I had the chance to do that. Because with the normal holes, if you check and see if you have a trunk leak, and if you're an '07 Buick Lucerne owner, you will have one if you haven't had one, because that adhesive is going to degrade off and eventually it's going to leak. One other thing too, bonus you get here. I had a problem with the trunk light staying on and with the battery, and investigating that, I pulled the fuses out for the interior lights so that I could measure the drain on the battery without having to have the doors closed, which down here in Florida gets the inside of the car gets extremely hot. And then when I got done with that and put it all together, I noticed like a week later that my passenger front turn signal was not working. Just the passenger front turn signal. First thought, of course, is bad bulb. Ooh, it is not easy to get to the turn signal bulbs on the front of a 2007 Buick Lucerne. Basically, you've got to pull the whole front end off the car. You can do what I did, and that is unscrew it and finagle it and kind of pry it up and get access. And I got the bulb out, and I looked at the bulb, and I said, well, the bulb looks good, but I'll put a new one in, put a new bulb in it, put it back in, got it all sealed up. Still didn't work. And I thought, well, how the heck would the passenger side front turn signal quit working just all of a sudden with a wiring, not a burned out bulb? It doesn't make any sense. Then I remembered, hey, I had been working with the fuses. I wonder if I pulled a fuse out. But just the passenger front turn signal? That doesn't make any sense. Checked the fuses. Sure enough, I had not put back in the fuse for the interior lights. I don't usually drive the car at night. I'm usually at home at night, so I don't drive it and didn't notice that. Put that fuse back in, the passenger front turn signal works. The passenger front, the Buick engineers thought, okay, let's put the passenger front turn signal on the same circuit as the interior lights. Only that one. None of the other ones, just that one. So if your passenger front turn signal quits working and you see what a pain it is to change the bulb, first go in and check the fuses, especially the one for the courtesy lights inside, because if that fuse is blown, which is highly unlikely, but if that comes loose or something else, not getting a good connection, that could be why your turn signals aren't working. All right? Hopefully from that, you can now see how to fix the trunk leak on your 2007 Buick Lucerne. I don't know that it's on any other years. I read something where somebody with the 2008 said they were having the same problem, but I don't know that for sure. I do know it for sure for the 2007 Buick Lucerne. All right? Okay. Have a great day.